Hello, first and second graders. Whoop, whoop. Today we're going to be doing an art project that is inspired by Easter. It's going to be really fun. We are going to do this super cute little chickie peep hatching out of an Easter egg sitting in the grass. So let's go ahead and get started. So you are going to need a pencil or a Sharpie. You can do this with either one. I am going to be using a Sharpie so that you can see what I'm doing, okay? But you can use a pencil, outline later, all right? So I'm actually going to come up and just randomly start adding the grass. You could do it as tall or as short as you want to. I like to have this very random because if you were to look at grass out in the yard, it's not just cut flat. It looks like it is after you mow it, but it's not. Okay, so I have my grass. Now I am going to make my Easter egg. So I'm going to come up a bit, maybe halfway up on the paper. I'm going to make a line from the, it's not going to go out on the edge. We don't want to be all the way on the side. We want to come in a bit. And we're just going to make a line that comes down and then it's going to curve just like that into our grass. Okay, so this is going to come down like this. And then on this side, you're going to come down and curve into the grass like that. This is going to be the large part of the egg. After we have those two lines, now you can see this is going to look like the egg is sitting down into the grass. Now we're just going to add these nice peaks. Okay, so it's just going to look like jagged peaks, a jagged mountain. After we have that, we are going to make our chick. This doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine does. Sorry, had a little bit of stuff under there. Now to make our chick, from in here, you just go up, loop over, and then come back down. You want to be sure that the lines for this loop are inside of these jags though, because that's going to make it look like the chick is inside the egg. The next step, we're going to add our top of our hair, which is like this. So you can see I did these little jagged lines that come out. On each one, I go out a little bit farther to make it look like it's flying backwards. The hair's flowing backwards. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Just like that. Now I'm going to add an eye, black dot. If you have pencil, you can just make a circle and then you will color that in with black crayon, at the end. If you're doing this in marker, you're going to want a Sharpie so that the marker doesn't bleed. And now I'm going to add a beak. To do the beak, I just add a triangle there and then another triangle down here. We have this little wattle here. So I guess this would actually be a rooster chick because we're going to add the little wattle at the very bottom like that. And then we're going to add wings. To add the wings, you want to start with a larger curve like this. Inside that curve, you're going to add another curve, but it's going to be a little bit smaller. And then you're going to do one that's even a little bit smaller. Now we're going to come over to this side and we are going to create the top of our egg. We want this to look like it fell off of here. So we're going to just come up a little bit, maybe halfway on this egg. Curve down like that. And of course, the top is a little smaller than the bottom, but we're not going to worry about all of that, okay? Now I'm going to come like this. Down here. And I want to be sure that I follow through with that line because this is going to be the top of our egg behind the grass. This will help create the illusion that our egg top is in the grass. Now we're going to add more jagged lines on the top. They don't have to match perfectly with this part. Again, it's just creating the illusion that this fell off of that. Now we're going to add our designs. I've done a couple different designs, which I will show you some of my examples. This one was a completed example. This one wasn't completed, but I do have different design ideas on here. Same thing with this one. I really love this look. I think I'm going to do that again. And I like how I did this rounded line here on this one and on this top part. It adds more of a rounded dimension to the egg. I did not do that on these, but I think I'm going to do that on this picture. So I'm just going to start at the bottom and I'm going to add this sort of rounded bit here, a line. Remember, you don't want to go over the grass line. And I'm going to do another little line kind of right here, because this is going to be one area. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. I think I'm just going to start on this side because I want it just to be a small rounded area like that. Now I'm going to come up to the top and I'm going to put lines through the top. You can see I'm not going over these lines right here because this part is our Chicky Peep. We do not want our lines to go over the Chicky Peep because this is our egg. We're actually adding little lines, sections for our designs for our egg. And you can make this as elaborate as you want to. You can have as many details in these as you want to. With this one, I didn't do a whole lot of details. I have a lot that are just solid lines. But this one, I added more detail. I really like that scalloped look with these smaller scallops around here. This edge with the rounded connecting is called a scalloped edge. So I really like that. But right now, we're just gonna add these lines that go across. And you'll notice my spaces are not all the same size. I'm making different size spaces in between these lines. My Sharpie's running out. You can still see it, so I'm not going to worry about that. So once I feel like I have these lines finished, I'm going to move over to my top part and I'm going to add some that go across like this. And I'm just guesstimating. It doesn't have to be perfect. These lines don't have to be exactly how they would be if this broke. And I'm just going to add a little more like this. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to start adding some details. So now I have this example. I like a couple things off of here. You can go online. You can actually pause this video and go to another tab and you can look up different designs that you can add to these Easter eggs.
Like this.
After I have all of my design finished on this part of my egg, I'm going to come over to the top of the egg and I'm going to add some elements over here, the detailed elements that we want to have on our egg. Now that we have that, before we move on to coloring, you can add a sun up here if you want to. You can do a rainbow, you could do a cloud with a rainbow coming out of it. You get to have absolute creative freedom with this, so you don't have to do it exactly how I did it. So let's go ahead and get our colors ready to start coloring. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna color in our little Chicky Peep's hair. I'm gonna start with the color I wanna use. You can do one color on this. He's gonna have purple hair. I like the idea of this chicken, this little Chicky Peep, as I like to call them, being a little bit different for everybody. Typically, I go with an orange beak, but today I'm living on the edge and I'm gonna go with pink. I like that pink. And then for his gobble, I'm actually gonna use both colors that I just used. So I'm going to use this dark purple for half of it. And then I'm going to use this pink for the other half. And then you can see how those two colors just blend together right there. Now I'm going to color in my little chick. Usually I like to go with traditional yellow. I'm going to choose that color. I like it. I like how it looks with these colors. You can do your little Chicky Peep whatever color you want to. The first thing I do is I trace around the lines just like this. Now that I have my Chicky Peep done, we're going to go ahead and start coloring in all of these sections. I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to want this top section to just be one color. And I'm going to start with this really nice blue. When you color this in, you want to be sure that you get these little tiny spots like that that are sticking up. This one doesn't, the line doesn't come down here, so I'm not going to worry about that. That's actually going to be a part of the one with the polka dots. And now I'm actually going to choose another color to put in with the polka dots. One color, think of the colors you use if you dye eggs, or eggs you may have seen in the grocery store. Okay. Now I'm going to pick two different colors for this area. And I really like pink and orange together. And so those are the two colors I'm going to choose for this area. And the way I'm going to do this is I am going to go orange here. And I'm going to bring this over here. So all of these areas that would loop down like that are going to be an orange. Notice I outline the space before I start coloring it in. And now I'm going to come in with pink. All right, and I am just going to continue to do this all the way down to the bottom of my egg. Now I'm going to go over to the top of my egg. Remember, this area right here, I want it to match this. And I will probably have this match this area just because it's going to look like those lines. Okay? And actually it's going backwards, so I don't even need to do that. So I'm going to add my blue just like I have on that top part. Now that I have those finished, we will move on with crayons to do the grass and the background. So I'm going to be using crayons for my grass and my background. So now I'm just going to start coloring in my grass. Now that my grass is colored in, I'm going to add my color in the sky. I'm going to start with this blue. I'm going to add the blue on the sky first. You don't have to make the blue super dark. You just want to be able to have the color on there. You can still see white. I'm not making this super dark because I am going to come in with purple at the end, and I'll tell you why when we get there. So go ahead and just color in your whole sky background. Now we have the sky finished, and look at how beautiful. Well, we have the blue on, I should say. We're going to finish the sky. And there's all my bright colors. This is the time where we are going to trace over all of our black lines and with crayon. And the reason you don't want to do this with marker is because you've used crayon and it will actually ruin the markers. So we're going to take this time and just trace over all of our lines with the black crayon. Okay, so I finished tracing all of the lines on my art project. See you next time.